Kerbal Scuffed Program 2. Jeb is dead, and we killed him, allegedly, by MartinCitoPants. Where is he? Where's the funny frog man?
Hello again.
What?
Bill here.
Wow, that actually subverted my expectations. I was expecting him to fall from the sky again. I always have to be on my feet with MartinCitoPants, it seems.
Today, we're back in KSP, ready and willing to send our brave Kerbonauts off to almost certain death.
Perfect.
Again. In this episode of our space catastrophe journey, we're taking another step towards the stars and going to the other planets in our own solar system.
Hey there.
In case you forgot, our glorious,
Zuckerberg.
patriotic, and ethically dubious space program has one goal. Reach another star system, land on its exoplanet, plant a flag, and return.
Okay.
Great sacrifices have been made in this pursuit, and a great many more will surely come.
Oh, absolutely.
So what happened in the last episode? Well, we flew our first mission, almost got to orbit, actually got to orbit, told Kevin off for being a terrible student.
Dude, come on, Kevin. I love this Kevin hate is perfect.
Yeah, you heard me. Went on a boring trip around the moon, and then did a solid moon landing. Nice.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and Jeb died. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
It's
Jeb.
okay though, because we have a replacement pilot, Valentina Kermit.
Oh no.
Like the video if you think Valentina will live out a long and illustrious career in the Bean Space Program. To achieve our ambitious goals, we've loaded the game up with mods, creating a buggy, unstable, and feature-packed mess of a game.
So when I actually streamed the Krauser run, which is actually not up on the VOD channel anymore for some reason, I don't think I saved it. I ran Krauser through a trainer in Resident Evil 4. Man, that thing was so unstable. It was like holding the game together with like glue and duct tape. It was kind of amazing. Mods do just be like that.
In this video, we're going to go and create some surface bases on the planets in our solar system. We'll sprinkle a couple on Duna and Eve, maybe some around the local gas giant Joule, and finally, one on the furthest out planet, Elu. So what have we done since the last video? Well, a few things, all within the Kerbin system. We sent Valentina to Kerbin's other moon, Minmus. We went to the moon a couple more times, and we also maybe could have possibly killed all the remaining Kerbals. That didn't take long. Valentina died in a tragic time acceleration accident while trying to get back into her capsule on the moon. Bob also died in a tragic time acceleration accident while trying to land on the moon. And Bill died after taking this terrible affront to God for a high-speed test drive.
Design
So no more
looks
Jeb,
interesting.
Val, Bob, or Bill. Rest in peace. Instead, we have recruited Urk and Elza Kerman.
I love that stupidity as a stat in this game. I guarantee you mine would be maxed. It's so good.
They've so far flown a few missions each and not died in the process. Yet.
Anyway, that's a feat.
Let us continue.
This stupid lettuce pun, damn it. You can see it coming from a mile away. It just still gets me. Ow, bird.
Ah yes, the sweet sound of incredibly loud birds.
Yes.
We're starting our interplanetary exploration with the easiest planet to visit, Duna, which is the Kerbal equivalent of Mars. Our first mission will place an unmanned probe in orbit. This probe will map out the surface and establish a site for future missions to land and perhaps even colonize.
Right.
For this mission, we have created the most powerful rocket ever built. For like the 7th time. Its name?
Obama?
Joe Bidome. It has 2 big solid boosters, a powerful core stage, and a very efficient upper stage. Now let's get this lad into orbit.
Absolute legend. I mean, it's going smoother than the first time, right? So it's going pretty well. I feel like this is going to get copyrighted. I feel like it's going to be copyrighted, right?
Very nice.
It's hard to tell with YouTube anymore.
Precisely 6,262 meters per second of delta V.
Nice.
Oi, sir, what's delta V?
Kevin.
Speed.
Speed?
Quite simple. It's how fast you're moving.
Yeah.
For example, 4 meters per second.
Yeah.
Or, for my American viewers, 2.77 Barrett M82 A1s per second.
Oh, I did not expect it to take that turn, but I'm kind of glad. Kind of glad it did.
Velocity. It represents speed, but with direction. 4 meters per second, to the right. In physics, and in maths, the capital delta from the Greek alphabet refers to a change in something.
Okay.
So, delta V would be a change
in velocity. Ah.
For example, we're traveling forwards in a straight line at 100 meters per second. If we point our craft forward, how fast would you expect we go after burning all of our fuel? 200. Well, since we have a... Kevin? Be quiet. Well, since we have 150 meters per second of delta V, we'd expect to be going around 250 meters per second. And sure enough, we do. If we face backwards and do the same experiment, we go 50 meters per second in the opposite direction. Nice. So why is this useful? Well, it basically measures how far our craft can go.
Okay.
Remember, our craft is being pulled by gravity.
Right.
In order to escape its influence, we need to go fast.
Yeah, you have to go fast enough to be able to break the gravitational force pulling you back. I mean, that's... Yeah. I feel like it's... Because, I mean, I remember this stuff from middle school, high school, but then I remember I'm not exactly the brightest. And I definitely let's put it this way, I went to school with people. I distinctly remember 7th grade, and we were in science class, and like me and one other person in the class, we hated each other because we were the two smart kids. Kip and smart should not be in the same sentence. Man, we hated each other, but we were the only, we got assigned to group projects regularly together because we were the only two people that could understand the metric system, right? So overseas viewers, right, people that are not in the US, right, are going to be like, what do you mean? It's just base 10s, right? Like, you know, meter, decameter, you know, you get your millimeter, kilometer. I mean, like, how is this hard? Ah, see, that's where you'd be wrong. It's not hard. Education here just hits different. You get people that are just like, I don't get what it means going from meter to deca. It's like, you just add the 0. What happens if you go from milli to centi? And it's like, just take away a 0, mate. What? Got it. Public education, especially in Idaho, just hits different.
In order to go fast, we need to change our velocity, and thus, we need delta V. People have made these nice
I regularly
maps
have to complain about it.
How much you need to go anywhere in the solar system. As we can see, to get to Duna, we need to escape Kerbal's gravity, and then extend our orbit to intersect Duna's.
Yeah.
According to the map, this will take us around 1,000 meters per second.
He's effectively slingshotting his own craft outside of our orbit with speed, and then getting caught in the gravitational pull of Duna is effectively the play here.
Anyway, let's go to Duna.
In simpler terms. Zoom. I don't. Just to be safe, I'm going to turn down some of this. That way it doesn't get copyright. YouTube's on a real big binge right now as of the past couple months. They are... And it's not just YouTube itself, realistically. It's people making claims on YouTube, whether legitimate or not. They're on a rise right now. So I'm trying to minimize that where I can. This is a great soundtrack, though. It actually really fits.
In our desired trajectory, we carefully plot out a course to a nice low orbit that is highly inclined. However, on the way there, I do this.
Oh no.
What happened here is my incredibly fat, sausage-like fingers mashed the time accelerate button and shot me straight past Duna. Are you nice?
Nice.
Not to worry, though. We packed way more...
It's funny because he shot himself past what he was saying before. That's the subtext there. I feel like this time warp button is going to get him killed more often than not.
More fuel than necessary, and can literally just turn around and chuck her in reverse. To prevent shooting past again, we point backwards at the closest approach and slow down until we get a nice circular orbit. And there we have it. We're in orbit and mapping the surface of our first planet.
Cool.
On to...
Launch 2, here we go.
I'm just going to tell you right now, Launch 2 was a complete disaster. For Launch 2, we built another powerhouse of a rocket. Pog Frog 1.
Pog Frog!
With one simple goal. Footprints and a flag on Duna.
Okay.
The rocket was going to place this section here in orbit of Duna. This lander would then separate and fly itself down to the surface where we'd do whatever it is we wanted to do. Whether that be running temperature scans, planting important flags, observing the goo, or dropping the Kerbal repeatedly on his head. After doing this important science, we'd hop in the lander and fly it back into orbit to meet up with the transfer stage. Fairly simple, right?
No.
Yeah. You'd think.
You'd think, yeah.
Anyway, let's launch.
I heard the music and I was half expecting it to be Kevin playing something in class. I'm now Pavloved into Kevin being the problem in this video. Seriously, it's so good.
It was here in low Kerbal orbit that I realized my first mistake. Luckily, it was fairly inconsequential. Instead of a scientist, the game had placed an engineer into the rocket, meaning we had to launch a quick ship to swap out the Kerbals.
Oh no.
After this, we transferred to Duna. In orbit, we separated the lander, hopped inside, and lowered our orbit into the atmosphere.
I know you're allowed 7 seconds, but it's sometimes if it goes a little over like 8 seconds. The Mandalore gaming video recently, I had to mute the entire outro because it was 8 seconds, and I'm just like, I'm not even gonna bother fighting this. So yeah, I try to be a little protective over.
And there we have it.
Sound, music.
Urk hopped out and planted our first interplanetary flag.
Hell yeah.
He named this incredible site Monkey Planet, now claimed, and inscribed the plaque with
loud does not
truly
equal funny.
An event to behold.
Unless you're Martin
It was at this
CitoPants.
point that I ended the stream. It was quite successful. Nothing exploded. No Kerbals died. Generally, good stream. If only the next went as smoothly.
Oh no.
The next stream began where the previous left off. We just landed and collected some sweet science.
Yeah.
Now, in KSP, you can quite easily rack up huge amounts of science by visiting different biomes. And this is what I plan to do first thing this stream. Lucky for us, there was a different biome quite close to our landing site. So I decided to go and visit. And then, this happened. Well, fuck. No way to get back into orbit. No way to meet up with the transfer stage.
Nope.
And no way to get back home.
Uh-huh.
Poor Urk was stranded. So, we immediately got to work on...
The rescue mission's gonna go great.
This was actually quite easy to design, because we'd already done it.
Yeah.
Introducing PogFrog 1.5. Thank you. All we had to do was remove the science experiments, most of the transfer stage, add an antenna, and we were ready for launch. So, we launched. However, on the way up to orbit, this happened.
What? That doesn't look healthy.
That is in fact where the engine is supposed to be. Despite this minor readjustment, we pressed on with the upper stage and made it into orbit. In orbit, we opened up the solar panels and set an alarm for Duna's transfer window, which was going to be in around 150 days, meaning Urk had to entertain himself on Duna's surface for over half a year.
That'll be awful.
Poor Urk.
Or Urk.
We then set time acceleration to 1 million times and quickly got to the transfer window. Oi!
Oh.
Just wondering what a transfer window is? Nah, that's it. I've had enough.
It's too good. He's gonna yeet Kevin.
Anyway, class, you may be wondering what a transfer window is.
He would not be able to scream in space. I mean, it depends. If it's what? Upper atmosphere, where it's technically space, but there's still enough air particles, there's still enough oxygen, right? I think technically you could scream, but if you're in like actual like outer space or outside of Earth, right? Outside of our atmosphere, I don't think you could scream because there's nothing for it to reverb off of, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Today, we're learning some more basic orbital mechanics. So, here I am, in orbit at 75 kilometers in altitude, only just above Kerbal's atmosphere. Here is Jim. Say hi, Jim. He's orbiting at 150 kilometers in altitude. Which one do you expect orbits Kerbal faster? If you said Jim, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's
You
not.
should feel bad.
No, it's the closer one.
I orbit faster. But why? Well, firstly, if you cast your mind back to circle geometry, this circumference is smaller than this one.
Right.
So
Yes. The circumference as far, even if they're moving at the exact same speed, right? This has to travel a smaller distance than this one out here. I mean, we're not even getting into gravitational pull being different here at point B than point A.
but has less overall distance to travel. On top of this, my craft is experiencing stronger gravity because it's closer to Kerbal.
Yeah.
Stronger gravity means we need more force in the opposite direction to cancel it out, which means we need to go faster. Hence,
Zoom.
our speed is higher, and our distance is shorter. making each orbit much faster than Jim's.
Right.
This demonstration also applies to planets. Kerbal is
Yeah, I was about to say, this is actually the concept of why, like, a Earth year is different than a Venus year, is different than a Mercury year, then is different than a Mars year, where our span of a year is a rotation around the sun, right? A full rotation is going to be, what, 365, 366 on leap year, right? Versus something like Mercury, I think, which at least used to be, what, 88, 89 days, I think? Which, by our definition, is still technically a year, but it's just different. I think Mars is, what, 4 something off the cuff. I'd have to actually look it up. But yeah, no, this is that concept out in play.
Closer to the sun than Duna, and thus orbits faster.
Later, nerd.
Sometimes they're close together, sometimes they're far apart. Now, we would like to travel between them. Lucky for us, there's a time when they line up just right, and the craft can travel between them very easily for relatively low fuel.
Yeah, so there's your
this
window.
Time is called a transfer window. The downside, of course, is you have to wait for it. Bringing us back to Pog Frog 1.5, sitting in orbit of Kerbal, waiting for the optimal transfer window. And would you look at that? It looks like we're ready to go.
Yeah. So let's say the shortest one has a value of 50, just a value of 50, and the longer one has a value of 200. You'd have to wait 4 passes of the smaller one to equal the longer one, right? 50 times 4 being 200. I mean, that's all it is. Now, there's definitely math and science and equations and stuff you can get involved into this. I'm talking as a very, like, base surface level overview of this. It's a lot of work to play this game. I don't think I could do it, but man, is it fun. I see why people like it. I really do. The soundtrack does fit this video. If you are curious about what he's using for the original soundtrack, I definitely recommend checking out the original. And landed.
Now, we have a slight problem. Our lander is quite low on fuel, and our Kerbal is about 19 kilometers away.
It's definitely not looking good.
Quite close to a half marathon distance. So, we better start waddling.
he's gonna trip. He's gonna trip. He's gonna trip, isn't he? Look at his little legs. I'm not doing that.
Oh, wow, would you look at that? The footage corrupted, and we're here.
Nice.
Amazing. We seem to be very low on fuel, but that should be okay. Let's get out of
The
here.
footage corrupted. Backslash TP. Hell yeah. Allegedly. You know, not that you know, MartinCitoPants would do that. Not that he would backslash TP at all. Big brain. Oh, now we're back in the classroom.
Oh, what the fuck? Hold on, let me fix that.
Kevin's still out there. He's gonna bonk it. Yeah. God, I love maintenance work.
There we go. A nice round orbit created by our large amounts of fuel and delta V that we absolutely had on our rocket without question.
Oh, absolutely.
No questions.
Yeah, no, he had plenty of
Only
fuel.
problem here is we seem to have run out of fuel, and we need to meet up with the transfer stage in orbit. But we can't, because there's no fuel.
Yeah.
So Urk is stranded again. I think you know what this means.
Or Urk. Rescue mission 2.
This mission is even simpler than the last one. Because Urk is no longer on the surface of Duna, we don't need to include a lander.
No.
Instead, we can simply include a small orbital vehicle for Urk to use to reunite him with the transfer stage. Unfortunately for Urk, although this rocket is on the pad and ready to go, he'll still need to wait another 150 days for the transfer window and another 100 for the transfer itself.
I really love how many resources we're expending just to get him back. It's actually kind of great.
Poor Urk.
It's just
we're here.
so good.
Urk, however, doesn't have any fuel in his EVA pack, which means we need to move the rocket just right in order for him to grab onto the ladder.
It's gonna bonk him.
And there we go. We get in, meet up at the transfer stage, get inside, wait for the Duna to Kerbal transfer window, transfer back to Kerbal, ditch the engine and tank, re-enter Kerbal's atmosphere, open up the parachute, land, and recover the vessel.
Nice.
So finally, after several years in space, Urk is home. And unharmed. So we'll give him a one-day break, and then send him back out.
1 day break. That's like a, hey, yeah, we know that you got injured on the job yesterday due to this, you know, allegedly faulty equipment. we'll give you today, but you need to be back tomorrow. Or better yet, when I was in the kitchen, I cut my finger really bad once, and even the ER doctor, because I had to go to ER to get it looked at and bandaged. Right, it was pretty bad. Let's put it that way. They're like, yeah, you should probably not be around food. And the chef was like, so yeah, no, you're coming back tonight. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. let's put it this way. I still don't have it wasn't like super bad, but it was one of those that I cut my like nail in the right way. I cut my index finger and don't have as much feeling as I do on like this specific side of my nail than I do the other side. It was a pretty big cut. Always work on your knife work when you're dealing with kitchen and culinary.
So, after a long and tedious design... Okay, let me let him back in.
Let me let him back in.
Anyway, after a long design process, here is what the program has come up with. The wonderfully named Urk's Tomb, to remind him of how long he's going to be staying there.
Oh no.
This craft is a ground base.
How?
Its goal is to land on the surface of Duna and use this little module here, a science lab. In a science lab, you place important data collected from experiments and analyze it. It takes in 1 science as 1 data, and after analysis, gives you 5 science. So basically, science times 5.
Yeah.
Pretty pog if you ask me.
Pretty pog, yeah. Nice conversion.
Now, Mr. Kevin. Oh, yeah? I'm going to issue you a challenge. If you can design the transfer craft and launcher for this base, I won't throw you into space ever again. Oh, and you have 4 seconds.
That's a trap.
Okay, time's up. Oh, yeah, I think I did pretty good. Let's see what you got for us, Kevin.
Poor Kevin. Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
It's
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's perfect.
The optimized engines, the fuel ducts leading into the center stage.
He's gonna get thrown in space.
300 kilograms off the mass limit. The slightly scuffed fairing.
It even has a watermark.
Okay, so
it has a watermark.
Kevin, it's
okay.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's okay. It's mid.
Anyway, we're gonna use this vehicle to take us to Duna. Oi! Why'd you throw me out? You're using me craft. Yeah, anyway, let's get this guy up and into orbit.
Poor Kevin. I mean, it does look like a good design. It's not very aerodynamic, but I mean, if it works, it works, right? Oh, and yeah, okay. Then it breaks apart. That makes sense. So therefore, it didn't have to be aerodynamic. I'm trying to gauge when he's using music and when he's not using music. I'm really trying with to not have dead audio in videos in regards to having to cut things out via copyright, so that's why I'm doing it. And thanks for bearing with me, guys. This is a fascinating video. He has entered atmosphere. Hell yeah. Touchdown? Without exploding? Touchdown?
For the final time, Urk has touched down on Duna.
Nice.
Unfortunately for him, he will never leave again. He plants a flag and inscribes the plaque with, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Poor Urk.
Yeah,
he goes and runs all the experiments available on the craft. This would ordinarily create a pretty big bounty of science for us. But with this science lab, we can turn it into a huge amount of science. Given some time.
Many, many days passed.
And after a year and a half of sitting inside a cramped room collecting data, Urk has generated over 8,000 science for the program to use.
Nice.
Urk has made great sacrifices for our space program, and for that, we are thankful. Thank you, Urk. Godspeed.
He ain't leaving.
Oh, wait, what the hell? Where'd he go?
He drifted too far out.
Kevin?
Nope. He's gonna do it.
Hey, Kevin, what are you doing? What the fuck? Where'd you get that from? Kevin, get back. Kevin, what the fuck? Where'd you get Kevin? I'm doing my own thing. Fuck you.
What a twist.
Kevin! Where'd he go?
Now he's got to go hunt
What the
Kevin
hell?
down.
He'll come back, right?
The plot thickens.
Right?
Right? No.
Well, anyway, where were we? Oh, that's right.
He'll come back with the
our
space
huge
army.
bounty of science, we can research new and exciting technologies. Better heat shields, more efficient engines, and special nuclear reactors are all available to us now. Very good.
Very good.
I think this means we should start building...
Oh no. Which one's this?
So, we've conquered Duna. Some probes, a landing, and a base.
Yeah.
Now let's move closer to the sun, to the purple boy. Eve. The biggest bastard in the solar system. What are we going to do there? The exact same thing as with Duna, but with a single launch. We're going to send a relay probe and a base. No lander this time around, because leaving Eve is reserved for people that have gained access to their entire nervous system. So why is Eve a total bitch to leave?
Bench.
3 things. It's very dense atmosphere, general girthiness, and high gravity.
Yeah.
At sea level, the atmosphere is so dense that some engines simply don't work at all.
Right. Well, because I mean, like, the larger you are, right, the more gravity it's going to exert on an object. So while you have something like Earth, right? Earth has a certain amount of magnetic influence it has around it versus something like Jupiter. Even though it's a gas giant, it is just that. Even the sun, really, right? Even though gaseous in nature, at the very least, for most of their mass, at least Jupiter, most of their mass. The sun, I believe, is all just hydrogen and helium. It has just an exponential gravitational field around it. It's why we don't have the entirety of, you know, the outer belt, right, or the outer planets rotating around Earth. They rotate around the sun. We have our moon, Luna, that rotates around Earth, but we don't have as many things orbiting as our sun does. Because remember, our sun has comets that go way, way into deep space beyond Pluto, right? And comets will go out there and they'll come back because they have a different type of orbit generally. We have, isn't there an outer asteroid belt too after Pluto? That's all just the gravitational pull of our sun.
The other reason is that to orbit Eve, you need to be going at around 3,000 meters per second, which is pretty quick.
Very
so
fast.
no leaving for us. Or at least our Kerbals. On this one-way trip to the purple hellscape, we have recruited our man, our boy, our hero, Hobson Kerman. He'll be seated in the craft science lab for the remainder of his life.
Nice.
Poor Hobson. Anyway, you know the drill? Let's get to Eve.
Egg. It do kind of look like an egg at the tip, though. It do kind of. I mean, I like how the design is getting more and more refined as this series goes on. It's actually really cool to see. Kind of looks like a weird lightsaber prop, though. Like you see the emitter up top. It's kind of great. Oh, he doing it. There's a time lapse as well because it builds upon information already established throughout the rest of the video and the prior video.
Now that we're in orbit, we lower it into the atmosphere. Time accelerator ahead, burn up and explode.
Burn up and explode?
Just kidding. I'm a professional, and this is definitely something I would never do.
That time ahead function.
What actually happened is I put the lowest point of the orbit around 50 kilometers up so the atmosphere could slow us down. Wow, would you look at that? It's getting hot.
Yeah.
Really, really hot. Must be all that friction, right?
Friction.
Yeah, that friction really generates a lot of heat on re-entry, doesn't it, guys? Yeah. Friction! Definitely couldn't be any other mechanism other than friction.
Phone.
Hello? Yeah, who is this? Wait, what about the YouTube comments? Oh, it's not friction? Oh. No, I didn't get it wrong in the last video. You see, there's this guy in my class, and he's called Kevin.
You're still
Hello
blaming
again?
Kevin.
It's me, Vsauce Derek.
Oh.
I'm here to talk to you about compression. No, not video compression, air compression. Air compression is actually what causes the heating on re-entry. But how? Well, first off, what is air made of? Pretty simple. It's made of molecules.
Yeah.
A whole lot of molecules.
Yes.
Now, what is temperature? Also pretty simple. It's how much a given molecule or atom is
Vibin'.
More
Vibin'.
vibes equals more kinetic energy, which equals higher temperature.
Yeah.
Fairly simple. So as you can imagine, if you
That's why what absolute zero is where molecules don't move, right? The slower things move, the colder it is. The faster they move, the heat. There's an actual correlation, causation between these two.
Push a bunch of air molecules together, they're going to bump into each other quite a lot.
Yeah.
Bumping into each other equals more vibes, which equals higher temperature.
Yeah.
Now, normally moving around in the air doesn't burn you to a crisp because the air molecules can get out of the way. However, say we're traveling at a modest 3 kilometers per second. The air molecules now don't have any time to get out of the way and are compressed into a superheated plasma. Pretty cool. Actually, no, pretty hot. Which is why we have this heat shield.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't burn up in the atmosphere, deploy the chutes, jettison the heat shield, deploy the legs, and touch down on the surface of Eve.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Good
Hobson
landing.
leaves the confines of the science lab for the last time in his life and plants a flag reading,
Uh-oh.
Hobson in the house.
Hobson in the house. No.
Once he gets back inside, he begins working through the mountain of data.
My best
slowly
anime,
turning it
Corey
into
in the
sweet
House.
science. How much science? Well, after 3.5 years,
So
he
much
manages to
science.
acquire 25,000 science points. Well done, Hobson. Good job. Like the last time, we use the science to unlock more parts, and then we go out again.
Oh no. It just gets better with each telling.
There we go. Eve conquered in one launch. Very good. Next up, the Joule system. Now there's a problem with going to Joule. It's very far away, which means our high-powered 4G antennas can't reach it to communicate with our crafts. Even if we upgrade it to the skin-melting speeds of 5G, the signal will still be lost behind all the planets. The solution? A relay satellite network in orbit of Joule.
Right.
Like real 5G, our satellites are short range. So how do we solve this problem? More satellites.
So
Behold,
many.
the great and powerful Telstra Incorporated 5G tower dispenser. The most powerful rocket ever built. 16 satellites per layer, 2 layers per hex section, 3 hex sections.
So many.
In total, 96 satellites in a single launch.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That'll
5G
do
coverage,
it.
Here we come.
That'll do it. That's impressive, actually. That's so much satellite per satellite. Wow. Yeah. Well, and like satellite is any orbiting body by definition. This is, radar dishes is what he's sending out. Well, maybe not radar dishes. You get what I mean, though. The satellite with the dishes. Blah. Words. Brain. Can't English. English is my first language. I can't even speak English.
Out nice and far, we place the craft into an orbit intersecting Joule's chunkiest moon, Tylo.
Chunky.
Then we max out the reaction wheels, spin up the craft to a truly eye-watering speed, and...
I sure love watching my PowerPoint presentation. Yep, there it is. But how do you stop it? How do you stop them from expanding? You have to have a counter force so that they actually stay in place at a certain point.
And there we go. We've rendered the map completely unusable, but we've also placed probes absolutely everywhere. I see this as a complete win.
It's a win, yeah. No issues whatsoever.
Now, I know I said I'd
this.
do an ELU base this episode, but I can't be asked. Once again, you'll have to wait for episode 3. I'll tell you when the next one comes out, but only if you subscribe. This is not optional. Oh, and also follow my Twitter to gain deep insights into the human experience.
Chips.
This is also not optional.
Actually, wonder if
And
he's
while
still
you're at
on
it,
Twitter.
Like the video. Come on now.
Where's the third
Being
hand?
real for a minute, I haven't really acknowledged that I have in fact grown a whole lot.
He has.
Thank you all for 150,000 subscribers. If you have a 1080p monitor, this is what 150,000 pixels looks like.
Nice.
Each pixel in this yellow square is one of you. Pog. Unless you aren't subscribed. Not Pog. Speaking of not Pog, I've ordered a bunch of new PC bits.
New PC.
But they're all out of stock.
Aww.
Hopefully once they all arrive, the videos can be 60 FPS at 1440p, which would be pretty cool. Anyway,
Stop
boys,
lies.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and adios.
This was a great video, actually. I've loved seeing the progression of... Oh, there's Kevin. Oh, no. What the Kevin doing? What's oh boy, what he gonna do? To be continued in part 3. This is amazing. It's really cool to go back and see some of MartinCitoPants' older videos to see how his style has evolved, to just see what's different, what's new, all that fun stuff. This has absolutely been amazing, and I absolutely loved this. And if you did too, I definitely recommend going checking MartinCitoPants out. He is almost at 2 mil now, which is insane, and he really does deserve it. His work is awesome, informative, funny, very well scripted and paced. I just can't recommend it enough. And at the very least, I will see you in the next one when we go into part 3.